Yeah, Marilyn has joined us.
Yeah.
So you can say hi to Marilyn.
Hello,
Hi,
Marilyn.
Meta. What are you
And
doing
Alan
there?
is just coming.
Hello.
Hi,
Alan,
who else is?
Hello.
Alan,
Oh,
Alan.
hi, Ellen. Hi there.
Hi, Meta. How you doing?
Pretty well.
Yeah,
Pretty well.
yeah.
I've been better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She's
So
better seeing all of us for sure.
where where are you now, Joe?
I'm
I'm
still in
right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Meta.
Alan, where are you?
I'm still in California. I will be for a while. I am working through visa issues, and it's a very slow process.
Oh, the Italians don't want you?
They are very bureaucratic. You have to get an in-person interview at the consulate in San Francisco, and they're not giving out any appointments. So you have to get online every day at 3 in the afternoon and see if they release new appointments. And this
Well,
can go on for a long time. So that's Italian bureaucracy for you.
Oh, dear.
well, bureaucracy everywhere. Let me tell you about hospital bureaucracy. I'll tell you, I've, I've learned things I couldn't believe. Unbelievable. Anyway,
Here,
so I don't know
Bi-
how well you guys publicize this town hall because usually, in addition to posting on Substack, I send out emails to a lot of other folks, especially members. And, it's summer, so I hope we have um, enough people to have a
yeah.
conversation. What do you think?
Bill has just come. Bill Latham has just come. So we're
Who?
delighted to welcome Bill.
Yeah,
Bill Lycom.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, hi, Bill Lycom.
Hi, how are you
Oh,
doing?
well, okay, I guess. I've
Okay.
been better in my life, but I'm.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
it's very good to see you.
yeah.
Yeah. Are you in California or Utah?
Am I what?
Are you in California or Utah?
Oh, I'm back home in California. I just came in from giving a talk at a place called Safari West. I do that every year,
Yeah.
and I talk about the foxes and so forth to this audience, and it's
Mhm.
adults and kids and the whole mix of things, and sometimes those kids ask better questions than the adults do. You know, they're more curious about this little
Uh-huh.
animal that I've got sitting up there on
Uh-huh.
uh, yeah, alongside me.
Safari
Anyway,
West.
huh?
Safari West? She
Yeah,
says, mhm.
yeah.
Where?
Safari West is it's a wildlife refuge of African animals and giraffes and they've got everything, almost everything. They don't have any lions or things like that, but they do have cheetahs and so
Mhm.
forth. And so it attracts a lot of people to the place to see uh, these animals. And
Where is it?
it's just north of Santa Rosa, back in the
Mhm.
mountains towards Calistoga, if you know where that region is.
I know I never, I lived in California most of my life, or half of it, or almost, but I never traveled very much there, so I don't know the state that well.
Uh,
Mm, mm.
no,
But,
yeah, that's where it's
uh,
at.
well, sounds good. And like a private zoo or something.
Um, Actually, what they do, yeah, it's a private zoo. It's a nonprofit, and what they do, they have people and they take people on tours, on in big trucks and so forth like that. They take them out to see the animals in quote a natural habitat, and then um, they that people can stay overnight in these elegant African safari tents. Um,
But
and-
they're in California. They're not
yeah,
going to Africa.
yeah. yeah, yeah. So that's where I have been, and I came back this morning just to be here with you.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well, I'm glad you're with me, but I have to say, I probably won't do. I mean, Jill is the master of ceremonies, mistress of ceremonies, and mostly I don't have a lot of energy. So I will probably keep quiet and mostly lurk. That is, be
Okay.
quiet and listen to other people talking if you don't mind. Don't be offended if I don't chime in too much. Okay.
we just want to welcome Charles Tauber. Thank you, Charles, for coming. And Sandy Greer is also with us. This is,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Hi, friends. Hello, friends. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So I just want to welcome everybody. We've just got one more person who's joined us, but maybe they've dropped off now. Let's see. This is Sudbury Noon Hour Toastmasters.
Sudbury for sure would be Richard.
Richard,
Yeah.
yes, of course it's Richard.
Yeah, just got to rename myself here.
Good. Richard, we have Meta on the from the hospital, so she's just been speaking to us. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
Congratulations, Meta. Our prayers are with you for sure.
Well, I've got to. I have created a device here. I have 3 cardboard emesis basins that are stacked up, and I have put a slit in each side where I can prop my iPad into the slit and it holds it upright, so I don't have to hold it. Although it's vulnerable to falling over, and you can see that it's now the camera is now aiming at my face, and if I aim it at my face, it's going to ruin my contraption and won't hold it up. So I don't know what the solution is. I need Cameron here to fix it. Cameron can fix anything.
yeah.
Anyway. Oh,
We don't want to stress Meta to speak too much, so I'm just wondering who wants to kick it off today. Any urgent things that people want to talk? We've just heard about Bill and his African safari camp in California, which is interesting. Any other news? Anything? Or I'll launch in if nobody has anything to say.
Well, from my point of view, it's still the climate
Yeah.
crisis. We are having the forest fires in British Columbia and in northwestern Ontario. And of course, our neighbors to the south are complaining about smoke from Canada going down into the States. We see the same thing happening in Europe. Spain is having the forest fires around Madrid. And I, I was just in Spain in April, walking the Camino, and they're doing all the right things. They've got solar in southern Spain. They've got wind turbines in the north. They're electrifying their whole country. They're doing all the right things, but it's one small country, and the problem is a global, and we need to stop burning fossil fuels. Uh, and we need to be addressing it here in Canada. Um, both our provincial and federal governments are talking a good line, but they're not doing it. As a result, uh, our Minister of the Environment has resigned. 40 MPs have written a letter complaining that we're not doing enough on the environment. We have uh, water bombers sitting on the tarmac due to lack of pilots. We continue to spend 5%, going to 5% on the military, but our real threat is the climate, not the military. So that's where I'm coming from.
Mm.
And I think it will get more and more serious as time goes on because it's not only the fires, it's the ocean currents that are changing, the melting of the ice caps. It's a whole gathering of catastrophe that's coming down upon we humans.
Well,
And
I think, I mean, we'll put all the data centers in Greenland and melt the glaciers that much faster with all the heat that they give off.
And hopefully it won't be too late when we finally do something.
yeah, I agree with you on that, Marilyn. Yeah, I think it's already too late.
I agree. I hate to say it. I don't want to be pessimistic. Maybe I'm being realistic, but it's very depressing. Very
Yeah,
sad.
well, that's what David Suzuki says. It's already too late.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He's our Canadian environmentalist.
Yeah.
But
So how do we manage all this?
That's the question.
yeah, I would like to sort of add to this topic that first of all, I would like to apologize to Richard that a few months ago, I suddenly disappeared right in the middle of you speaking, Richard, and I hope you didn't interpret it was anything you were saying. It was because for some reason my internet server decided not to work. And so if I disappear quickly again, it's not because of what anyone is saying, it's because my technical system is a bit unstable sometimes. So I would like to say also that in Canada here, I think what we need to encourage anyone who does, watch our video afterwards that we must never give up because either we can try to make things better instead of things continuing to get worse. And one of the ways is to speak out wherever we can in our participatory democracies to actually exercise our democratic right to speak out. And recently there was a government consultation allowed by Canadians, and hopefully not one of the final ones before all the regulations change. And it was a discussion paper titled Getting Major Projects Built in Canada. And it's about proposed legislative, regulatory, and policy reforms. And on top of that, the federal government choosing 3 different federal projects as projects of national interest, which would actually reduce any environmental protections even more so. So it's just stupid. So one of the criticisms I made was that like if the federal government is wanting to be a leader in the world, instead of following this global trajectory of industrial development at the expense of the natural environment and the planet's life support system, why don't you choose to be a world leader by being wiser in creating better environmental protections and just throw away this ridiculous competition because it's all nation state hubris.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with the public interest or protecting the natural environment and all planetary life at all. So that was one of the points I emphasized in the pages I submitted, like to get away from this nation state ego. And that's what's driving everything, and money for whom? And then at the expense of the well-being of the children and the to come, like if they can't breathe the air or drink the water or eat food that's not contaminated, what in heaven's name are we doing? So anyway, I wrote quite passionately, and I just encourage anyone and everyone whoever sees what we're saying today, like just continue speaking up. And why are we here on earth? Like, what do we value? And to protect it and speak out, and that's all we can keep doing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
What's Alan's thoughts on this?
My thoughts on global climate.
Yeah.
despair. Um, I think the heat waves are going to continue. I think the sea levels are going to rise. I think there's going to be mass starvation and famine. Parts of the world will be unlivable. I'm lucky to live in a part that probably will not become unlivable. Um,
Where are you?
well, I'm currently in California, but I'm in transit to Italy.
Oh, okay.
And I've been checking the weather in Florence, and it's been nice and cool. So they've been doing all right despite this heat wave. Um,
But years ago, we thought we should move to the southern hemisphere, to Australia and to New Zealand to avoid the radiation from a nuclear war. But
well, I'm in favor of that. I've wanted to move to New Zealand for a long time, but I just couldn't manage it. New Zealand is one of my favorite places that I've never visited.
It just seems like Canada and the US becoming petrostates is such a stupid idea. I don't know why, with the need to develop projects in Canada in order to strengthen our Canadian economy, can't we do renewable projects? I mean, does it all have to be pipeline? Who why have we allowed, is it because we're worried about Alberta and we have an easy way to make money by exporting petroleum? Why? Why is there this blind spot?
And I think what will happen is if the pipelines go south, they'll be exporting water as opposed to oil.
Yeah. I just was on a trip to Montana, and along the way, along Highway 2 that cuts just south of Canada um, there are trains of nothing but oil, what do you call those things? Tankers, uh, that are so long you can't see the other end of them. It's just, and they're all headed for Washington State. And Washington has tried to put up a barrier to these, but they have buckled and given in. And so they're all that oil that's in those train cargo, whatever they are, tanks,
Tankers.
uh, is going to be exported. It's not going to be used here in the United States. It's going to be exported to, I think, Japan. I'm not sure, but yeah. When I saw those, I said to myself, why? You know. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Sounds like the weapons trains in the 70s from central Washington to what was the town? It wasn't Bellingham. But yeah, where they exported the bombs.
Mm-hmm.
This was this was beginning of the 70s. By the way, one more point. Some of the Russians that I'm working with are leaving Georgia and Russia.
Vital signs. Mhm. Excuse me, I've got to figure out how to silence this thing. So I don't know how
Oh,
to
there we can
turn
see your face now.
yeah, but I don't know how to shut off my, mute myself. How do I do that?
Lower right, left-hand corner.
But oh, I see. Let's see. Mute, chat, mute. Let's see.
Do it one more time.
Have I mute? Have I?
No.
No?
Do it one more time. Yep.
Mute?
No. Press it one more time. It didn't work.
Go ahead, Charles.
Some of the Russians that I'm working with and who live in Georgia, Armenia, Russia itself, are leaving and going to Prague and to Germany now because of the attacks, the drone attacks.
From Ukraine.
From Ukraine, but also from Russia.
Oh, from Russia?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Tell us more about that.
Yeah.
No, apparently they're bombing. There's a Quaker there. Some of you may know him, Misha Elizbarashvili, who is a coordinator of many things. And he's been in Prague for the last week, and he's moving his family to Germany because they're bombing the neighborhoods in all of these places.
But why is Russia bombing these places? I can see Ukraine, but why Russia?
Russia is bombing Ukraine.
Well, it's bombing Ukraine, but why Georgia and Armenia?
Are being affected.
They're being affected. Well, and because they are supporting Ukraine.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I
Mhm.
thought Georgia was sort of pro-Russian these days.
Yeah, to a degree, but there's this new government. So,
So you're saying the security situation has expanded beyond Ukraine from
yes,
Russian drones?
very definitely. And the Georgians now want to go into the EU. That's the new thing. So they're under attack as well.
Armenia wants to go into the EU. It's
That too.
yeah.
And we have a couple of clients who got out of Russia and are in Armenia now. And who are trying to do it. They want to go to Argentina, of all places.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a number of Russian dissidents in Argentina right now too. So
What I'm confused about is it looks like Putin is somewhat weakened because of the drone attacks on the oil installations in Moscow. Am I just hearing propaganda or is this true?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've heard, Jill.
Where's Alexei?
Alexei's not with us. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
we're missing him.
He's in Poland.
He's
Yeah.
in Poland, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Alexei it just joined. Alexei just joined. Alexei, there he is. We can ask him directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Alexei, we wanted to ask you a question, and there you were. You just joined.
Sure. I'm here.
That's very
The setting. Hello.
good. We were just discussing with Charles the expansion of Russian drone attacks to Georgia and Armenia. Is that correct from your understanding?
Well, maybe I'm not very well informed from Poland, but that's the first time I'm hearing about it, really. I've heard about a couple of drones flying into Romania, and that's unfortunately the direction where Charles lives. I hope that it's not gonna go that far to reach you in the former Yugoslavia, in Croatia, but the direction was southwest. So a couple of drones were struck down in Romania, and that's what I heard. Maybe I missed something.
Mhm.
We were also questioning whether is it true that Russia, Putin, the Russian leadership is a bit on the back foot because of the drone attacks on
Yeah.
oil installations in Moscow, or are we hearing a lot of propaganda?
Well,
Oh, God.
objectively, they are. They are on the back foot because there has been a couple of attacks, quite a few of them, on the oil infrastructure, and even worse for the regime on the petroleum infrastructure. So a country which has seen itself as a uh, uh, hydrocarbon superpower now encounters queues or lines at petrol stations, which is unheard of. There is fights in those queues. People have to stand in those lines for like up to 72 hours. So they sleep in their cars just to get some gas. And that's, of course, undermining the support for Putin. But quite a few hours ago, I heard one analyst who portrayed Putin, I think more than correctly, as a gang leader rather than a politician. A politician of any kind has to care about what their electors, what their people are thinking. But a gang leader, if he tries or if he starts to care, to think about what the commoners, the common people think, he kind of loses his legitimate power. So he kind of is expected, is supposed to not care at all about what they think. Today, I guess I heard Putin saying we will continue at any cost. Unfortunately, he's just not listening. He's not gonna change his worldview, his picture of what's going on. He lives in the world of his own, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Is there any politician that doesn't live in the world of his own?
Oh, well, he's not even a politician. He's
Well,
like a gangster
yeah,
who is not
just
supposed to
like
care about what his like what the ordinary people, quote
just like
unquote,
Trump.
think.
Yeah, just like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Trump
gangster.
has to care. Trump has to care because he's gonna have the elections on in November, and then in 2 years.
Theoretically, he will have elections. Whether he will call them
Mm,
off or
oh, that's gonna be a tall
not.
order to call them off.
But
That's gonna be a tall order to call them
I
off.
don't think it will be that tall an order, but okay.
Mm.
He's gonna try. He's already working on it.
He's,
I'm sure.
isn't he trying to, isn't there this movement to keep you from doing any, um, casting ballots through the mail?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's one of the things he's trying to do.
Yeah,
He's also trying to require photo ID for everyone,
that's,
which
oh, that's right.
immediately disenfranchises a lot of elderly people,
Mhm.
a lot of people who don't have birth certificates, like my mother.
Mhm.
And not only that, but I think he's saying he's going to have ice at the polling booth. So he's not going to allow people to, or he wants, working on not allowing you to vote through the mail, but you have to go to the booth and then they'll be full of ice. So what does that mean? That means people are going to be afraid to show up to vote.
Well, and he's getting ICE ready to serve as a paramilitary so that he can clamp down on the country. He can declare a state of emergency and then put ICE in the streets, and we can't even go out of our houses.
I know.
And you also have your Proud Boys and all the other from January 6th people that he's
Yeah,
pardoned.
Right, yeah.
that's right.
Yep.
But people are pushing back in the United States, aren't they? Look at I look at CNN News every day, and I'm really delighted every time I see like one more action that a judge has said no to that was, spearheaded by Trump. And so Trump, similar to Putin, but maybe for different brain chemistry reasons, because I did read that a psychologist referred to him as a malignant narcissist.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
Yes.
actually a psychological term used for people that he has no capacity to care about other human beings at all. Like there's something wrong with the way his brain works,
Mhm.
and so he's so dangerous. That's why he's so dangerous. And
Yeah.
I also
Yep.
think of being a pawn because he's surrounded by people that accommodate him. But I wonder how much they're using him rather than him using these people that they are controlling him actually.
Yes.
I think they are. I think there's a background in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, Sandy, you brought up the opposition. I came across the Golden Gate Bridge just about 2 hours ago. And from one end of the Golden Gate Bridge to the other, all the way into the Presidio, which is in the San Francisco side of it, there were thousands and thousands of people um, on the bridge going to this gathering that was in the Presidio. So there's a huge, huge protest going on right now.
Wow.
Why didn't we hear about it? I didn't hear about that happening. Did you? I would have been there.
No, I didn't hear about it either, but when I was crossing that bridge, it was obvious what was going on.
Well, I think the opposition to Trump that's been effective has been the courts. The courts have held the line, but the problem is Trump breaks laws so fast, the court
Correct.
can't keep up. He just goes ahead and does what he wants, like imposing martial law, like
Mhm.
bringing out ICE to the cities, and it's only months later that court actions get to stop him.
I
Mhm,
agree.
mhm. Yeah,
But I wanted to tell you how happy we all are with the student protests in India, which succeeded in their education minister having to resign. So that was as a result of young people coming out en masse on July 20th. So it's a real victory for the youth. And it was all done non-violently.
I
And
So
in
like
some
the
ways,
name of it.
the cockroach junta
the
is the
yeah.
Cockroach
party.
Junta Party.
Oh,
But
right.
in,
Yeah.
in some ways, it's characteristically Indian because it was about getting into medical school.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. The medical exams that the kids study years to pass to get into these medical schools and write these exams, they were leaking the test results to rich people who could pay. So it had been corrupted. So all these kids who spent 2, 3 years trying to advance their marks to get into medical school were not, were being put at a disadvantage. So as a result of this, literally tens of thousands of young people, non-political, just really angry, came together in Delhi for a march on Parliament, and then there was a huge retaliation from the police through tear gas and pellets and arresting kids. These young kids getting arrested, putting in the paddy vans, taken off. And what happened is that big provocation became a source of shame to the ruling government because the parents of these children are mostly BJP voters. So, this is a middle class which they need to win the election. So, consequently, the demand that the students were making that the education minister must resign for his responsibility of not stopping this, even though Modi really saw that as, challenging his power for a few days, they finally relented. And on Saturday, the minister resigned. The youth felt that they had succeeded in their struggle, and then they slowly all went home. So it was pretty amazing. So I think nonviolent struggle has demonstrated again that it can be effective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the world's largest democracy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So can we see maybe the same thing, Alexei, in Russia, or the same thing in the US? What are our possibilities?
Not in Russia, probably, because the cost of any dissent is enormous. It's really enormous, and anyone who tries to express any alternative opinion, alternative to the regime, faces a very harsh repression, and it's getting harder and harder. And the question is, how far they're gonna be able to get until it all ends. Really, it's going in the very wrong and in a very dire direction. Yeah, day by day, by the day, unfortunately.
Navalny is probably one example of that, the harshness of it. And he was just one person.
Yep,
Yeah.
very
Well,
true, unfortunately.
the
Before
other
him,
example.
Boris Nemtsov, so many victims, many people were killed, and even people who are not willing to struggle for power, who are not willing to take power by in any observable scenario, like journalists, like common people who just write a comment on Facebook, even they are at risk. That's It's just like a lottery. You don't have like mass repression like Stalin's repressions. You put millions into prison. You shoot 1 million or more. You just do it randomly. You just pick one random dissident, or one random person who is not even a dissident, who just wrote like a critical comment on Facebook or wherever, or on Instagram, and all the other folks see that that's dangerous. He's gotten into prison for that randomly. That's unfortunately that's enough to keep people scared.
Yeah, well, we've seen that in Israel, Palestine, Gaza, now Lebanon. That one is to rule again by fear. We've seen it in Tiananmen Square, where again all the students were just massacred. What's the possibility of that happening in the U.S., my American friends?
It's already happening to some extent. We're seeing the
It's a
press.
very good question.
Go ahead, Alan.
We're seeing the press becoming controlled, and the media, not just the press, but the media. We're
Right.
seeing Stephen Colbert taken off the air. We're seeing Trump talk about deporting people, talk about MS now as traitors. Traitor is a very strong term, which I don't think Trump understands, but it can lead to execution.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But the media and other creative professionals in the United States are pushing back. And for example, I follow it all the time because I was a former journalist. So I'm very concerned that authentic journalism has to stay alive, legacy journalism, and people need to be aware, of course, of biases that, for example, Fox News is quite right wing, and people need to be aware of that. But better people read the news instead of relying on social media, which is like just a cesspool of misinformation.
Yeah.
So, for example, Paramount, like which I'm sure the Americans here have probably read in your news, like wanted to take over like another major, studio, like which hired thousands of workers to do storytelling in all media, and they were stopped by a coalition uh, which involved most recently 12 American states created a lawsuit to fight against this happening, this takeover, and also the Writers Guild of America had a lawsuit. So what's happened now is Paramount has backed down until next year because it knows how vulnerable it would be right now and could lose a court case. But so it's going to try to, like, prepare itself for next year. But at the same time, the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta, whom Alan, you probably wouldn't be aware of, and Maryland too, and Bill, and you're in California also, the three of you, I think you're all in
Yeah.
California. Well, he's an amazing guy. So I've been on webinars where he's spoken about this, right? Because anyway, he said this puts us in a good position because we will gather all kinds of evidence to show why this cannot become a monopoly under Paramount, which answers to Trump's agenda. So the owners of Paramount, they are totally pro-Trump and whatever he wants to control. So this fight is happening in the news media, people pushing back so there can still be a freedom of the press and diverse points of view that people can choose to have access to.
Yeah, but we're losing to the people with money. Larry Ellison bought up the whole media empire, and he's supporting Trump. He has the money, we don't.
Mhm.
I wonder what's going to happen to me because theoretically I have two citizenships, namely US and Dutch.
Hmm.
I haven't lived in either country for about 30 years. So I'll probably be a man without a state. I'll probably end up stateless. That's the way I'm figuring it. I don't know what I'll do, but
Well, Charles, you can become a world citizen.
of course,
There you
that's the
go.
idea.
Welcome to the club.
And I don't dislike the idea of saying I won't use the word to you all, to any state. Maybe I could get Croatian citizenship, but I don't really want it, to be honest with you.
So if that happens, what would your passport be if you travel? What
It's a good question.
Yeah. Like,
That's a
welcome to
good-
the club, Charles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I have a passport of a country which I cannot use. I may not use it because I have a Geneva passport, which kind of bars me from using the passport of Putin's Reich. Uh, but anyway, it's really interesting that whereas the European Union recognizes the Geneva passport, which was at some point called Nansen's passport. Now it's Geneva
Yes.
passport, and in the European Union you can travel wherever you want. In Norway, which is not part of the EU, into Switzerland, to Greenland, whatever, but not to Turkey, for example. Turkey does not. Turkey requires a visa for that passport, and it really takes a long time to obtain one. And I've been inquiring, trying to find a list, an exhaustive list of countries that really acknowledge that passport because I kind of want to see my mom once in 4 years. I haven't seen her except for WhatsApp. I haven't seen her for 4 years now, and I'm trying to find ways to travel somewhere to see her. But not every country really acknowledges that passport, which is kind of weird for me.
Alexia, is she in Russia?
She is.
Yeah.
She is still there. Yeah.
So you couldn't use your Russian passport to go into Russia? You would find it dangerous, or
Of course. No way, no way.
yeah.
For many viewpoints, in many respects, that's not an option for me until a very, very, very profound change in the country.
Yeah. I think a lot of Meta has expressed this. We're very concerned with Russian dissidents and escapees and where they can go because unfortunately countries are not recognizing the courage that you, Alexei, and Konstantin, and so many others have demonstrated. Rather, there's a Russophobia that has really caught a lot of imagination, I know, in Canada and in some places.
Hmm.
Um, and we need to work on that in terms of some sort of show to
Hmm.
keep lobbying and gaining support for Russian.
Thank you so much for saying this. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. It really means more than I can say. Really, I'm sincere, and I mean it. Thank you, thank you,
And
Jill.
you know I'm behind you too, Alexa.
You're right behind him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We'll get to. We'll put you on both on the list. Yeah,
Mm.
it's very sad. We feel very deeply upset about it. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not yet a citizen of Poland, but I will, of course, try to get the passport here because I've grown into the country. I've learned the language. Just many locals do not hear any accent at all. Most of them,
Wow.
Even after a good conversation, they can't hear. I'm not from Poland. And then of course, but it takes time, of course, to get a passport of any country because many people. I had a post on Facebook on the topic that when I was back in Russia, I remember people, uh, good willing people, saying, "Well, why don't you go from the country? You just not, there's no good staying here. Just continue your life in a more democratic and civilized country." And there were other people, malevolent people, who were saying, if you don't like it here, just go away. And both were very optimistic in terms of people. Like many people think that changing a country is something like buying a ticket, an airplane ticket, and flying away to an all-inclusive hotel. But that's not how it works. It couldn't be farther from how it works because it's not the 19th or 18th century where you could just travel across the border and pledge allegiance to a new king or duke or whatever, and then become a subject of a different sovereign. It's not any that easy anymore, and so I now know what. They say that you can sit on two chairs. I'm sitting between two chairs right now. I could say I'm not yet a Pole legally, and I'm no longer a Russian legally because and now, this week, Putin has initiated a law which will be adopted anyway. If Putin has initiated a law, then it stands no chance of not being adopted. That people will be worse than deprived of their citizenship. So you technically legally remain a citizen of Russia, but you cannot use any of your rights. So you can't even give up your citizenship. You're not allowed because the consulate will not serve you in that, will not help you to put down your passport. But they will not help you. They will not provide any services for you. So they still uh, keep you being a citizen. But you are not entitled to any help from the government, including renouncing the citizenship. That's how bad it can be.
Wow. Is
It's
that a
worse than
foreign agent? Is that a foreign agent act?
that's a new category, the
I see.
enemy of the people. So if that new status is awarded, then you cannot even renounce your citizenship because the consulate will not accept your application, your papers. You still are like entrapped in the citizenship, but you can't get any protection whatsoever. So it's just like the worst thing you can imagine. That's very vile, I would say.
Mm. Mhm.
I just wonder what would happen if I tried to cross the US border.
Mm,
Mm.
Because,
What
yeah,
what would happen? What is your imagination?
my imagination is that either I would be sent back, but to where, or I would be immediately arrested.
for what?
What?
For what?
For what?
Oh, you disobeyed. You have no allegiance to the United States, to the great United States.
Hmm.
You're disobeying ICE. You're disobeying Trump.
Mm.
Mm.
I don't
That's
know
sad.
what would happen.
Let's not find out.
Sorry?
Let's not find out.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
No.
I have no
Yeah.
intention.
Yeah, let's not.
Alexi, you said,
Sure.
Alexi, you said that you wanted to find the countries that would accept what I don't know if I got this right. Accept your passport and your mother's uh, ability to come to wherever you decide. Have you used AI to plunge into that to see what would come out? I don't know if I got that all right or not.
Yeah, sure, sure. I need to find a country where my mother would not need a visa, or where a visa would be easy to obtain, and where I could relatively easily travel on my refugee document. And
Mhm.
of course, there's a couple of countries, Montenegro, Turkey, Georgia among them, but each country has its own pluses and minuses. In some countries, you run the risk of being arrested because the local security services kind of have special relationships with Moscow or something. And so I'm trying to ask this question, but I need to be careful, double checking what AI tells me because not all the data are might be 100% accurate. And so thank you for this hint. I'm doing this, but I have to be really 100% sure that nothing will happen. And but as a hint, as a clue that AI can give me. It's a good source of clue, but it has
Yeah,
to be double and triple checked.
yeah,
Thank you.
Right, exactly, Alexi. Yeah.
yeah,
AI, you cannot rely on it at all.
But that's the price. The stake is too high here, and I can't. I can't ask for a recipe for like I don't know for some dessert for today or for tonight, but not for something that I might risk going to Putin's prisons for. The
Exactly.
stake
No,
is high.
absolutely.
yeah.
Alexi, if you go to Montenegro, I'll come down and meet you.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, that's one option we're considering. My mom will have to make an overlay in Turkey in Istanbul because there are no direct flights. And as for Serbia, I don't know. One option is Belgrade. One option is Belgrade,
Oh, Belgrade. Belgrade is a couple of hours.
but
So
they're kind of they're not really
I know.
well yeah, you know.
I do.
It's tough. That's tough with Belgrade. But
Yeah,
Montenegro, I will really be happy to see you there. If I
and Montenegro, and if you go to the coast, it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
I was there in 2005. It has changed a
Yeah,
lot, but I'm warm in my memories of my travels
yeah.
in
So you,
Montenegro.
yeah.
So,
I just want to interrupt and say Nivedita wanted to say something. Nivedita, do you want to turn on your camera and ask a question? I will also want to welcome Brian Van Hertzen for coming and Peter Wadhams. Both joined us when we were in discussion.
Mhm.
Yeah. Peter seems to be just resting, but Brian, anything on your mind?
Well, I wanted to tell Alexei
Yeah.
Alexei, I just returned from Tashkent to Canada, and I know there are many Ukrainians as well as Russians living there, huge populations. So your mother, who's living in Russia presently, she will be extremely happy to be there because the language is similar and the culture and everything will be similar. So I think she will be welcomed, and also you can join because at the moment I know that a lot of students from Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan are visiting and going and studying in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Poland is a very good option for them now.
Mm-hmm.
So now it has become a very good place for the students to go and study, and they are also getting a lot of benefits like government is encouraging. So you can try, and your mother can be very happily stay in Tashkent if she wants to stay longer. Also, there because I know many families like that.
Oh, thank you for that. I live in Poland, which I call my home right now.
Yeah.
That's the country of my future, which I really love. But the trick is that Poland does not issue any tourist visas to holders of Russian passports. So my mom cannot come here to me. Although I sent her tons of photographs. She's willing, really, after the nightmare ends. She's really dreaming of coming to see me here. Um, well, I'm thinking about Tashkent, but I'm still weighing the risks because as part of the former Soviet Union, um, it might be a little bit not as much as Kazakhstan or maybe other countries or
No,
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan
Yeah.
and Uzbekistan, they're very open. And I
Mm-hmm.
taught there for 2.5 years. So, being a foreigner, I never found
Mm-hmm.
any problem. And also, we have one of our friend from
Mm-hmm.
Science for Peace staying in Tashkent, so you can contact him.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I mean, I wanted to say that you can go to Tashkent to meet your mother. Your mother can very easily travel to Tashkent. So both of you can meet in Tashkent. I mean, Uzbekistan, anywhere near. So
Thank you.
that
Thank you
was
so
the
much.
that was the solution.
Thank you for the idea. I've never been there, and it's long been my dream to
Mm.
visit Samarkand and
Oh
Bukhara.
yes, Samarkand,
There's a two.
Bukhara and Khiva. So you can visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can visit along with your mom to all these places. There are a lot of good travel. I mean, options to travel. As I said, I lived 2.5 years there, and I was extremely happy. And the language is not a problem for your mother also.
Yeah.
So, which is very convenient for you and your mom both.
Thank you for the
It's
idea, really,
happy
Nivedita.
news.
Thank
Happy
you.
news, Nivedita.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Nivedita. Thank you so much. I'll look into that very carefully.
Great. Brian, you've been very quiet. Anything on your mind?
Preparing to travel to India in a week's time to lead the India Cooling Summit with Dr. Sumitra Das from the Healthy Climate Initiative. Be spending a month in India working with local stakeholders and government to work on keeping India cool and avoiding Ministry for the Future Chapter 1.
Beautiful. Excellent.
So that's where we're heading in a week's time, and yeah, enjoying life here and visiting friends, and family. So it's a good time.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. We were talking earlier about climate and the forest fires before you joined with great fear that this is not going to stop anytime soon. Richard, do
Well,
you
that
want
is
to pick up?
correct. The fires are not an accident. They were largely triggered by the
We've
You
lost you,
frozen?
Brian. Yeah, you're frozen.
We can't hear you, Brian.
The problem is that these are global
to
problems.
Los Angeles, California, to British Columbia.
Can you repeat that, Brian? You were frozen. Just your last.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the IMO canceled or curtailed aerosols in January 2020, and it resulted just 24 months later in the Lahaina wildfire. 60 months or 48 months after that, the Los Angeles wildfire, and the same month we saw the first historic gap in Panama where the upwelling, the Pacific upwelling failed and they lost their fishery that year, and we're concerned it's going to happen again next January. Between that and the Mediterranean, cancellation of aerosols in May 2025 resulted in an 8.5 degrees Celsius sea surface temperature anomaly in the
The problem is that this is a global problem, and so Spain is having their forest fires in Madrid, despite doing solar in southern Spain and wind turbines in the north. So they're doing all the right things, going electric, but are still experiencing the warming and hence forest fires.
Yeah.
Brian, are you still frozen? Let's see. Yeah.
Sorry, my internet's cutting in and out.
Yeah, now did you hear that? What?
I think the heat waves and droughts that we are seeing in Western Europe are highly associated with the loss of aerosols in the Mediterranean and rebrightening our marine clouds with nature-based or nature-inspired approaches. And cloud condensation nuclei will be essential to keeping our climate cool across the world, including the global south.
Brian,
Robert,
could you please explain what you mean by the loss of aerosols? I assume you're not talking about spray cans. You're talking about something else.
Well, historically, half to 2/3 of our emissions have been masked by aerosols. They used to come from fossil fuels. Those were curtailed in 2020 without any thought as to the side effects. They certainly do have health effects in urban areas, but in rural areas, those aerosols were also keeping our climate cool. There are nature-based aerosols, for example, sea spray and biogenic aerosols that come from terrestrial forests, as well as kelp forests. And these have a pivotal role to play in restoring the brightness of our planet and and that's going to be absolutely essential. That's the third leg of the climate triad, and that is local and community-led projects to keep coastlines cool and inland regions cool using nature-based and nature-inspired cloud condensation nuclei.
Thank you.
That'll be absolutely essential.
are you taking this knowledge to your meetings in India?
Yes, and we're going to have an expert panel, including Professor Alan Gadian, myself, and several experts in India on how we can ensure a timely arrival of the monsoon, which has been delayed, resulting in thousands of deaths, but in the future, millions of deaths associated with this problem, which is an inconvenience in the global north, but a matter of survival for the global south.
Say what the problem is. We didn't quite hear your voice. It tuned out for a minute.
We've lost 2% of the brightness of ocean planet Earth in the last 25 years as a result of a warmer planet having fewer marine clouds, low altitude marine clouds, and also less sea ice. About 2/3 of the problem is with the marine clouds, and unless we can reestablish the nature-based cloud condensation nuclei, we will not be able to keep our planet bright enough to avoid accelerated warming. And so it is a bit of a runaway feedback loop, or let's say delayed and amplified feedbacks. And it's absolutely essential for us to sustain our civilization to restore pre-industrial brightness levels for ocean planet Earth, and do so one community at a time. We think our theory of change is local and community-led projects.
Any comment? I see Robbie Tulip has joined us. Robbie, welcome. This is geoengineering and cloud brightening is your area as well. Do you want to add to Brian's comments?
Yeah, sure. What Brian has said is exactly right. I had a Project Save the World podcast discussion last week with Gene Fry, where we picked up on some of these issues, and we mentioned that there are, like Brian has emphasised, the role of life in maintaining planetary stability, and so seaweed in particular puts aerosol compounds into the sky, which keep the clouds um, stable, and the loss of seaweed, both macro and micro seaweed, has changed the ocean chemistry, which has led to a loss of clouds. But at the same time, there's just a direct feedback problem. That is that as the planet gets hotter, the hotter ocean is dissolving the clouds above the oceans, and so there's a need for just planetary stabilization, and it's so that's a geoengineering agenda, and
Yeah.
whether it's marine cloud brightening or stratospheric aerosol injection, there needs to be a much more intensive discussion around rebrightening of the planet.
Yeah, and our theory of change is to start with local approaches, and at a local level, you could actually consider this to be climate adaptation, whereas by simply rebrightening the local and regional marine clouds, you can keep the temperatures cooler, and that's a great way to start. And certainly, there's a high degree of social acceptance and adaptation, and then once proven, it can be scaled, and at some point, it can actually be a regional and even national and multinational climate stabilization effort.
And I come at the theory of change from a slightly different angle, in that my view is that major industries have got a commercial interest in climate stability, and they really need to step up and lobby to get governments to take the darkening of the planet seriously.
How are we going to get governments to do that, though, Robbie? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of pushback coming from, well, the oil industry still dominates. How are we going to convince the governments to go with this plan?
Well, my view is that the crisis is such that we need to just focus narrowly on albedo, in a similar way to the Montreal Protocol focused narrowly on ozone, and that's by just making it a technical matter, and leaving the whole issues of carbon and justice to other people to worry about. If we just worry narrowly about rebrightening the planet, and then we can create a broader coalition than has been created under the Paris Accord. So I think we can overcome some of that political polarization just by treating global heating as a security crisis.
Mm-hmm.
and an economic risk.
Okay.
One of the reasons that we're approaching India is that it is a matter of survival for the global south, and we're hoping that India will help to lead the way at identifying these climate repair solutions for municipalities, for provinces, and even for larger regions over time.
So there are a number of countries who could lead a coalition of first mover nations to rebrighten the planet, to establish an albedo accord on the model of the Montreal Protocol, and India is one of the top ones, because they face this really grave risk of extreme heat, and so but they are rapidly electrifying with fossil fuels, and so the prospect of decarbonisation is quite low. But there's a need to fix the climate in a context of ongoing fossil fuel usage, and so that's a real difficult challenge. I think Iceland is another country that we hope can take a lead, because they've recognised the collapse of the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation as a security threat to Iceland, just risking the total collapse of their society and economy in this century.
Yeah. And by 2070, under business as usual, countries representing 2 billion people will no longer be habitable with wet bulb temperatures exceeding 30 degrees Celsius. So this is a clear and present existential threat for countries serving 2 billion people today.
Mhm.
What's really good about India is it has the local development interface with this. You know, there's a lot of communities that work at the local level. So it's I wouldn't say it's a decentralized economy, but it has a huge rural economy that is broken down into regions and into local constituents. So it's a good place from that point of view, I think.
Yeah, and next month we'll be spending weeks in India, in Delhi, and in Calcutta, and Sundarbans in Odisha and in Tamil Nadu, and reaching out to local and regional leaders there to look at local and regional climate stabilization solutions.
One thing to mention there is that Brian's work on marine permaculture that's been piloted in the Philippines has enormous potential for India region, and a couple of major benefits of the technologies that Brian has pioneered are that it rebalances the aerosols. So there are these compounds known as dimethyl sulfide and a couple of others that are produced by seaweed, and there's also the ability of large-scale seaweed farms to just sink a lot of biomass deep in the ocean, which eventually can remove a lot of the excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
Yeah, the late great Professor Stephen Salter once said, for every watt we put into marine cloud rebrightening, there's potentially 1 million watts of cooling for ocean planet Earth.
Mhm.
I think, Robbie, you've also been working on some local solutions with regard to cloud brightening and coral reefs, haven't you?
Well, I had an article in Peace magazine from a meeting that we had with Daniel Harrison, the project lead for the Great Barrier Reef Marine Cloud Brightening project. And I must say, like my view is more, technology neutral. I think that what we need is to establish a governance framework to encourage investment into field trials of suitable technologies. Marine cloud brightening still has not yet solved the technology challenge of producing large-scale salt particles at the tiny size that is needed at a low cost, whereas stratospheric aerosol injection is much more advanced in its technology, and like it's been essentially calculated that an investment of around $20 billion a year in stratospheric aerosol injection would be able to cool the Earth back down to pre-industrial level this century. And so I think what we need is essentially a climate moonshot that is a commitment by governments to slow temperature rise within a decade, and that requires investment research on the whole range different technologies that could help to achieve that goal.
We
Friends,
weren't
I
very
must,
successful with the 1.5, but anyway, go ahead.
I must go, but if anybody wants to contact me, please feel free to do so. I think particularly of Alexei.
Thank you. We'll talk
And
soon.
anybody else who is interested in peace building and the rest, please do contact me. See you next month, if not
Thank you,
before.
Charles. Thank you so much, Charles.
Take care.
Cheers. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So another issue which I heard about in the last few days is there's some plan for the UN to look at regulation of AI weapons systems. And I was happy to hear there's going to be a UN big international meeting on this in November, and that people are really looking at autonomous weapons like drones with some seriousness as something that has to be regulated. Is there any opinions of the group on this?
Can you tell us a little bit more, Jill? I mean, I'm certainly all in favor of UN reform. That's badly needed.
Yeah, this is a particular UN meeting that will happen in the middle of November on regulating autonomous weapons using AI. And this is the first effort that the UN has made to bring together member states to discuss and see what kind of regulations need to be brought into place. So I was just curious if people had heard about it, whether they had any comments to make.
Well, I've heard
Yes.
about the needs to regulate, but again, the needs to regulate are way behind the advancement of robotic technology.
Right.
Alexei.
Yep.
Have you heard about this, Alexei, Brian?
Well,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have. I'm just looking at the present political landscape for the UN Security Council, and you're looking at a double veto of any such efforts based on behavior seen to date, both from the US and from China. Until such time as we move the UN Security Council from consensus to consent, I don't see how politically any such proposal can make headway given the present hegemony. So there's structural reform needed within the United Nations to move towards a consent circle for permanent and other members of the UN Security Council.
Alexei,
Until
did you
such
want to
time.
say something?
Just an interesting piece of news on the topic today. News came. I still follow some news because my mom and my other my girlfriend, probably my future wife. Let's hope. She's still in Russia, and all of them are still in Russia, and so I have to follow the news from there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been interested in what's going on there. But I still have to follow. And today, the news came that Putin signed a decree on a law, actually, on you won't believe it, on a sovereign AI. So, like, I don't know, AI cannot be an American AI or a Canadian AI or an Indian AI, but AI can be Russian, just trained on Russian sources. So I don't I don't know. So yeah, that's I laughed as well when I heard about it first. It's just not nonsense. I don't know what it. I'm afraid even to think what it can amount to. But that's now we know that that's possible. That's possible. But as for the UN, I don't know how it can be enforced because the UN doesn't have a single bailiff or policeman or sheriff to come any to any place to enforce any convention. So it all comes down to the member states to trust each other to a certain degree or to exert a certain influence on each other for um, such I think a necessary and a relevant measure to really take effect. Much as I would agree with that it's necessary to control AI and especially in the sphere in the domain of in the military domain where AI could decide whether or not to kill someone or let them live.
Alan, you're very silent. You're muted. You're muted.
You have to unmute.
Sorry, I had some turbulence going on here, so I put on the mute. Um, I'm agreeing with everything I hear. It reminds me of the situation with the International Criminal Court, which the United States has chosen to pull out of or never agree to. And as a result, they call themselves immune from the International Criminal Court. In the same way, we know that we already have autonomous drones, um, that autonomy is coming to AI if it's not already here. It's just a matter of time before the Pentagon takes full advantage of it, and they're not going to agree voluntarily to anything that limits them.
Brian, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I believe that lives have already been taken by autonomous machines in Ukraine, and the cat is already out of the bag in that sense, for better or worse. These are the realities of the battlefield, and I think we're going to see the same from the US and from China in the future.
Sandy.
Well, I just wanted to point out that, like, how can we look at this issue of AI at multiple layers, right? Because so you're talking about the big picture. So, but the problems, go down to other levels, institutional levels in our society. For example, how responsible are our educational institutions about trying to educate people about the implications of AI and including like as a type of social media? Because we hear all the time about misinformation, disinformation, the mental health issues among youth. And so I think we need to look at the different layers of like how things are changing and too often for the worse rather than for the better. So we're at this like pivotal moment, I think, our human societies. How can we start turning things around to be more life affirming? And and about media literacy, I think that could be a tool that needs to be much more broadly kind of understood and practiced. And I apologize to Alexi that I haven't yet sent you some information about media literacy, which I promised to do, and I will, but I just have to deal with chaos in my personal life these days before I can kind of put together a little package of information about media literacy. But I see media literacy as a very key educational tool, a set of tools to help raise awareness among people all ages and in communities, not just in the schools, to understand what is going on and to believe that you have power to make choices. Because I think a lot of people now, like just ordinary people, just feel powerless. Like, what can we do about what's going on around us, right? So my hope, while I'm still alive and my brain is working, like, how can I help people realize we have a lot more power than a lot of people realize I have, to raise awareness and to push back against anything that is destroying life as we know it, and just to do something different. Again, I keep thinking, what is the legacy I will leave the children to come before I leave this earth, and that's what keeps me going. So that's all I'd like to
Thank
contribute.
you, Sandy. Robbie, you're next.
Jill, you raised the negative potential of AI to be used for weaponry and conflict. I think it's worth noting that AI can also have a significant positive potential, and I see it certainly in terms of climate policy. That is that. Uh, the potential of AI to clarify political and technical arguments and debates, just providing integrated information is really high, and so the potential of AI to encourage peaceful, productive collaboration is quite strong, and that needs to be set against the risks that you've mentioned in such as autonomous weapons.
Thank you. Brian, you had your hand up.
Yes, I think the key to addressing many of the problems of this polycrisis is in decentralization. And with that, I mean that we're going to see pretty good AI in the hands of communities with open weights, open source, and open training. And we've seen examples of this from NVIDIA to China. And ultimately, it's going to be about communities that have drones and have community AI capability. And I think the key is ensuring that AI tools are in the hands of the many rather than the few. And ultimately, we're seeing from Ukraine to around the world that a decentralized defense is the most effective. If it's centralized, it gets blown up. And so at some point, we may find it necessary to turn plowshares into swords. And by that, I mean that every farmer needs a drone for managing agriculture these days. And it's as essential in the 21st century as it was in the 19th century to have a shotgun or rifle. And I believe a well-armed, decentralized agricultural force can in fact defend communities as well. And ultimately, we need to have this kind of dual use capability, primarily for sustaining agricultural productivity, but with a reserve capability that we're seeing in the Ukraine today.
Thank you. Alan, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I found myself thinking both while Sandra was talking and while Brian was talking. Have you ever intersected with the power system called the military-industrial complex? Have you ever intersected with the Pentagon? Have you ever experienced how they make their decisions? They are so far removed from the grassroots thinking. They are a world unto themselves, and they are very powerful. They have big money behind them, and they're heavily entrenched in our society. So I think it's very nice to look at the positive aspects of AI and to believe that democratization will help. And I think there's a valid argument to be made in that area. But I think the evil is too powerful for us to win by singing Kumbaya.
Well, I think it's beyond Kumbaya. We'd look no further than the Foundation trilogy to look at the fall of empire and the building of Second Foundation, after which we've named the Climate Foundation. So I think there is, 80 years of history taking us to the possibility of decentralized defense. And ultimately, the Gini index is climbing, and Goliath's curse, if it says anything, it's that fall of 400 civilizations occurs when the Gini index gets too high. So we're witnessing that now, and one way or another, we're going to decentralize.
I think on that note, my friends, we're coming up to 3:30, and we're wanting to bring this to a close, but I want everybody to feel they have a last word if they want it. Is there any last words here? Such an interesting discussion.
I'd like to send out my prayers for Meta.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
Meta has been with us. She's in the hospital listening, and I know she feels totally happy seeing all of you, hearing, and knowing that Project Save the World continues even when she has to be in the hospital. We're wishing her well through this. She has a heart valve problem and some internal bleeding. It's getting looked at. She's with great doctors, and we just look forward to her getting through this and getting back in her seat.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Fingers crossed, absolutely.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you, my friends. We will meet in a month's time, but meanwhile, we are going to have our next inquiry on governance, which I really think, Brian, we need you to raise this whole issue of decentralization as a a way of looking at future governance, and others to join that. So that will be starting in November. We'll be letting you know soon. But meanwhile, have a wonderful August, and we'll look forward to seeing you towards the end of the month. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jill.
all.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye for now.